YouTube, it's your boy Jay Steph, man. We back at it with another YouTube. I was about to say UK YouTube reaction. All right, we got a special video for y'all by the channel Vanta. So shout out to him. This is his content. I'm just reacting to it. All right, got a special one for y'all. I figured this would be a cool video to check out. The greatest hacker in history. Finna find out who that is. Finna find out what he did, what he stole, what he hacked. All right, tap them links down below. Everything you need is in the description. Hey, without further ado, man, let's get it.
Is a
Come on.
38-year-old man from the US. Online, he goes by the name P4X. Just a year earlier, he was the target of a massive cyber attack launched by North Korean hackers, part of an operation to steal hacking tools and security research from Western researchers like him. At the time, P4X managed to defend himself, but he couldn't shake the feeling that North Korea had gotten away with it without any consequences. He even reported the incident to the authorities, hoping they'd take action, but nothing happened. No follow-up, no investigation. It was like no one cared. That's when he realized, if no one else was going to do something about it, maybe he would. So P4X got to work. He began assembling tools and files to strike back. But this time, he wasn't going to attack just one person or a single system. He was going to attack an entire country by shutting down their entire internet. Something which seemed impossible at the time, but not for him. Fast forward to February 2022. P4X sat there with everything ready. The attack he'd been planning for over a year was now just one click away. As he pressed the button, the moment marked the start of his cyber attack. But for North Korea, it marked the end of their internet. News channels began to glitch out, government websites started vanishing, and the country's already restricted internet.
I just noticed that this nigga said North Korea. Bro, why did he do that? That's Kim Jong-un and them, right? This nigga's crazy. Hold on.
Began to slow down. One by one, servers dropped, until the entire nation's internet went dark. To the outside world, it looked like a technical failure, or maybe a carefully planned cyber attack from an enemy nation like South Korea or the US. But all of that was false. Behind it was just one man. This is the story of P4X, the hacker who brought an entire country's internet to its knees. To understand the actual hack and how all the things led to it, we first need to understand how North Korea's internet is set up, and why it's so different from the rest of the world. When you think of the internet, you probably imagine something huge, limitless, and packed with millions of websites. But in North Korea, things are a little different. First of all, very few people even have access to the internet in North Korea. Most citizens are stuck using a closed-off intranet system called Kwangmyong, which only connects to websites controlled by the government. Think of it like a mini internet, except there are no search engines, no social media, and definitely no YouTube or TikTok. As for the country's real internet, the one that actually connects to the outside world, well, that's even smaller. It's estimated that North Korea has just 1,024 IP addresses. For comparison, a country like the United States has over 1 billion.
Damn!
North Korea's internet is incredibly fragile. Unlike modern networks, which are designed to handle huge amounts of traffic and recover quickly from failures, North Korea's system is like a house of cards. It has just a handful of servers, a few dozen websites, and almost no protection against large-scale cyber attacks. If someone were to, say, flood those servers with too much traffic all at once, the entire system could go down like that. And that's exactly what one man, the hacker known as P4X, was counting on. To pull off an attack like this, you might assume it would take a team of highly trained hackers, government-level resources, or maybe some advanced cyber warfare operation. But here's the twist. It wasn't any of that. It was just one guy. His online name was P4X, a regular guy with a laptop, living an ordinary life in the US. But beneath that ordinary life was an extraordinary talent. P4X was a cybersecurity expert who knew how to exploit weaknesses, break into systems, and stay hidden while doing it. But the question arises, why was P4X even planning to do this at all? It all started about a year earlier, when he found himself on the receiving end of a cyber attack. A group of North Korean hackers had tried to breach his computer. They were part of an operation aimed at stealing security research and hacking tools from Western researchers. At the time, P4X managed to defend himself, but he couldn't shake the feeling that North Korea had gotten away with it.
So he
No
basically
consequences,
spinning back on
no
the ops. What?
accountability, just another silent cyber
Okay, my
attack
boy.
swept under the rug. And that's when the frustration started to build. P4X reported the incident to the authorities, hoping they'd take action, but nothing happened. No follow-up, no investigation. It was like no one cared. That's when he realized if no one else was going to do something about it, maybe he would. At first, it was just an idea, something to blow off steam, but the more he thought about it, the more it made sense. North Korea's internet was notoriously weak, and with the right plan, it might be possible to hit them where it hurt. So P4X got to work. He started researching North Korea's internet infrastructure, mapping out the servers, and looking for vulnerabilities. It wasn't easy. North Korea is one of the most secretive countries in the world, but with enough digging, he began to spot weaknesses in the system. With the decision made, P4X didn't waste any time. If he was going to pull this off, he needed to be smart, thorough, and fast. North Korea's internet might be weak, but even a fragile system can have surprises hidden inside. One mistake, and he could tip off the wrong people. The first step? Reconnaissance. Before launching any kind of attack, P4X needed to map out exactly what he was dealing with. North Korea's digital infrastructure wasn't exactly well documented, so he dug deep, searching for anything that could help. Server locations, IP ranges, system weaknesses, and as he pieced together the details, a clearer picture started to form. What he found confirmed his suspicions. North Korea's internet wasn't just fragile, it was barely functional by modern standards. Most of the servers were sitting wide open, protected by little more than basic firewalls and outdated software. To a skilled hacker, it was like walking through an empty hallway where every door was unlocked. But P4X wasn't interested in breaking into their systems or stealing information. He had something bigger in mind, shutting it all down. To do that, he needed tools. So, over the next few weeks, P4X got to work writing scripts, tweaking existing programs, and testing different methods. He built a toolkit designed for one purpose: to overwhelm North Korea's network with so much traffic that it would collapse under its own weight. It was the digital equivalent of a battering ram, and P4X was ready to swing it. When everything was ready, he sat back and took one last look at the plan. It was bold, risky, and maybe even a little crazy, but it just might work. With a deep breath, P4X pressed the button, and within moments, North Korea's internet began to crumble. As P4X initiated his attack, it didn't take long for things to start falling apart on the other side of the world. North Korea's fragile internet.
So how was he knowing that this was going on? Was bruh just watching the news and just watching his plan fall in place? Like, what the hell?
Was no match for the
Like
wave
evil
of digital
villain.
traffic crashing down on it. One by one, servers began to buckle under the strain, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of data flooding the system. At first, it might have seemed like a temporary glitch, maybe a minor network issue or a routine disruption, but within minutes, it became clear that something bigger was happening. Websites that were already limited in scope began going offline. Government systems slowed to a crawl and then disappeared entirely. Even the few connections that linked North Korea to the outside world were starting to fray. For the average North Korean citizen, the blackout didn't mean much. Most of them had no access to the global internet anyway, relying instead on the country's tightly controlled intranet. But for government officials and key institutions, the impact was immediate. Suddenly, their digital lifeline to the outside world was gone. Meanwhile, P4X was watching it all unfold from the other side of the screen. Using a series of monitoring tools, he could see the impact of his attack in real time.
Okay.
Server after server was going down, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. For P4X, it was a surreal experience. Just days earlier, he'd been sitting at home, frustrated and angry, feeling like there was nothing he could do to fight back against North Korea's cyber attacks. Now, he was watching as an entire country's internet infrastructure crumbled beneath his fingertips. As the hours passed, the situation in North Korea went from bad to worse. Entire sections of the internet were offline, and even the few remaining connections were barely functional. By the end of the day, North Korea's digital presence had all but disappeared. For P4X, the attack was a success, but it wasn't over yet. Cyber attacks are rarely one-and-done events, and keeping the pressure on would require constant adjustments and monitoring. Over the next few days, P4X continued to tweak his attack. making sure that any attempts to restore the network were immediately met with another wave of traffic.
No, he's a
It was
menace.
a game of digital cat and mouse, and for now, P4X was winning. But here's the
Wow.
thing. No one knew it was him. From the outside, this cyber attack looked massive. People assumed it had to be the work of a rival nation, some secret operation launched by the US or South Korea. After all, who else could pull off something this big? No one even considered the possibility that it might be one guy, one laptop, one message. And while the world scrambled to figure out what had just happened, P4X sat back, watching it all unfold. For a while, his anonymity held strong. No one knew who he really was. And for months, even after the media buzz had died down, P4X remained just a name in the shadows. But in 2022, that finally changed. In a follow-up interview with Wired, P4X chose to reveal his real identity to the world. Alejandro
That's
Caceres,
him?
a 38-year-old Colombian-American cybersecurity expert.
What?
In the interview, P4X described the events that had led up to his attack. He explained how he had been targeted by North Korean hackers a year earlier, and how that attack had left him feeling angry and frustrated. He talked about his disappointment when the US government failed to respond, and how that frustration had eventually pushed him to take matters into his own hands.
Wow.
Meanwhile, North Korea itself stayed silent. The regime rarely acknowledges cyber attacks or technical failures, and this time was no different. There were no official statements, no threats, and no public response. But behind the scenes, it was clear that the attack had embarrassed the regime. For a country that relies on projecting strength and control, being taken down by a single hacker was a blow to their image. As for P4X, he stayed free. Despite all the media buzz and the attention surrounding the attack, no arrests were made and no investigations were launched. Maybe it was because he hadn't stolen any data or caused any lasting damage. In the end, P4X had pulled off something extraordinary. He took down an entire country's internet. That's all for this video, and if you enjoyed the content, then please consider
Nah, that's crazy, bro. He spent the block on the ops for real. Talking about these Negroes tried to take and hack my stuff. I'ma hack their ass right back, boy. What? Hey, man, that's crazy, bro. Interesting video, man. Shout out Vanta, man. But be sure to tap them links down below, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, it's your boy.